guys, so I am back, and as promised, today I am going to show you how to remove P+ gel polish over Jimmy Gel using that QDBase layer. I have my gel polish here, and this is P+ in red lips. So the layers I have on my nail right now are, I have a Jimmy Gel overlay, then I have a layer of QDBase on top of that, and then I have 2 coats of my P+ gel polish color, and then I have the top coat on top of that. I wanted to show you guys how this works because QDBase can actually be used, like I said, as like a fire break type of product where it's going to be the layer that allows you to soak everything else off on top of it without having to use an e-file or having to completely remove all the product that's on your nail plate. So I'm going to take my same 180 grit file that I used in the last couple videos, and I'm going to just break through this top coat layer. And you want to see a little bit of color, so I should be able to see a little bit of pink coming through on my file. And you just want to get it kind of all, especially on the sides and towards the free edge of your nail, is usually where you want to make sure you get that nice and broken off. Now, depending on how thick you do your top coat, you can, adjust your filing technique. I tend to like a lot of top coat on my nails, so I file a little bit more than most people do. And you should, like I said, be able to see some pink on here. I was doing my other nails earlier that had green, so ignore this part. But the pink, you want to be able to see a little bit of that color coming off as you're filing before you put your wrap on. Okay, then I'm going to take just a gel polish foil wrap. And again, these are just like generic ones that I buy online. They're literally, you can find them anywhere. eBay, just Google it. I usually buy them in cases of thousands because, when you're working, you go through them quite a bit. So I'll just provide a link down below to like some of the ones that I have found. I'm going to make sure that that pad in the middle is very well moistened, and then I'm going to put this on. This is always a little bit tricky doing this yourself. When you're doing your own thumb, I typically fold it like this a little bit to get it started. And you can even just like put it over the top. Make sure, like I said before, that you've got that pad completely covering the free edge and also all the way up to all the color that you're going to remove. And then just do one side down and then the other, and then give it a nice little squeeze, okay? And I'm covering my other nails right now. Number one, because I'm using acetone today, and number two, because I'm going to show you something special next week that I didn't want to expose today. So I've got this hand done and I have this hand not done. As you can see, my nail shape looks a little bit different, but I have a surprise for you guys for next week. So that's why I've got gloves on. And then I'm just gonna let this sit for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then I will come back and show you guys what this looks like. Okay, so it has been about 6.5 minutes. I've got a timer on my phone, and I'm just gonna pull off this wrap for you guys so you can see what it looks like. So you can see that the gel is flaking up just like it did before when I had my natural nail underneath, but this time I have an overlay of product. So I'm gonna take a cuticle pusher, and I'm just gonna gently scrape off. And I left my Jimmy Gel shiny underneath. I did not file it before I put the QDBase on top because I wanted you guys to be able to see the difference. You don't have to do that, but I did want you to be able to see like, oh, that's where her Jimmy Gel layer is. So you guys can be able to see that that's shiny under there. And you can also, the nice thing about doing it this way is you can scrape a little bit more aggressively because you're not scraping on your natural nail, you're scraping on top of gel. So I'm just gonna go through here. Now, is this the most efficient way to do it? In my humble opinion, no, but I also think that this is a really nice option for people that, that don't e-file or don't feel comfortable e-filing, or, whatever the case might be, but at least this is really cool. It just gives you that extra option of being able to leave your overlay alone and remove that QDBase and P+ on top, okay? So then you can see this shiny part is my Jimmy Gel overlay. And I also noticed that a lot of you guys were saying that you have a hard time identifying where there's gel and where there's not gel. And the best way to do that is actually look at the milky the milky color. If you guys have watched any of my previous videos about removal, especially overlay removal, it doesn't matter what your natural skin color is. Literally, you'll be able to see the nail plate goes from like a milky white, and you can see this kind of looks like a milky white color. That's the gel. And then it'll turn into like a darker, sometimes more purpley color as you get closer and closer and closer. And just like I showed you on my e-filing practice video where I was removing one coat of color at a time and showing you how that works, do the same thing when you're hand filing or you're e-filing. You know, remove a teeny bit at a time and watch the color change from a super milky, clear gel overlay look to getting close to that natural nail. And if you've ever filed too far, you'll know exactly what I mean, because it's like this purpley kind of reddish color when you get close to the natural nail, and the milkiness of it goes completely away. And gel generally has, even clear gel has this like milky white finish to it, okay? So then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take that same file, and I'm just gonna go through and I'm just going to gently file off the rest of these little remnants. So just super, super light pressure. And again, I'm using very, very light pressure and just using that whole length of my file. I can use this as an opportunity to like keep that overlay there, but kind of reshape and smooth out some of the product that's close to my cuticle area. And I'll leave that shiny bit for the very, very end, okay? And then you can just go through lightly and just buff out that whole bit. And feel free to use, you know, the 180 side too if you feel like you're in an area where you wanna remove less. And then you can also use a buffer if you want to. If you don't want to use a hand file, you can use a buffer to do this and just remove those little bits. And then you'll be able to see like there's maybe like one little area right here where like the base coat is still on there. Can you guys see that? Let me dust this off. I'm just gonna clean this off with some alcohol so you guys can see the difference. You can still see some of the shine. Actually, that's pretty good right there. You can see it. Can you see like right here, that little L-shaped bit? And then also like right here, there's like a C-shaped bit. That, and like right here. So you can see the Jimmy Gel, that milky white I'm talking about underneath. And you can almost also see how this is like a milky white, and then back here towards my cuticle area is more like a yellowy, almost like a natural nail color. That also kind of shows you where the gel is and where it isn't. But this white patchy spot, the L shape, the C shape, and then this other kind of like long shape here that's milky white, that is a little bit of that base coat left over. Okay, so you can put the wrap back on if you want to do it that way, or you can just take a buffer or something really gentle and just buff it out. And you don't have to worry about getting every little bit of product off. If the gel is not lifting, if it's not causing any problems, just leave it. Just smooth it out and leave it. And I always tell people, like, don't get crazy trying to get every little nitty gritty bit of everything off, because you're gonna spend a lot of time doing that. And you're probably gonna end up taking off way more than you had planned. So you can just go through with like a quick little buff. See how I was able to get that really nice and smooth? And then I'm just gonna take some rubbing alcohol and a scrubby brush, and I'm just gonna scrub this really well. Now, I'm gonna leave the part by my cuticle alone, because normally if I'm gonna backfill an overlay, I would go through and I would do all of my cuticle work as well. But can you see that right there? That's really hard to see on camera, but it's like a darker color back in here where my natural nail is. And then out here, it just gets milkier and milkier where I've got that overlay, and I'll show you from the side as well. Okay, and you can even see the shiny bits where the Jimmy Gel is still on there, like right there, there's a little shiny bit. So you don't have to make your overlays thick, but you can see that I still have quite a substantial amount of product on my nail right here. And then you can backfill your Jimmy Gel, put more P+ on it, or even just swap the color if you want to. I barely have my nail grown out because I just did this since the last video, so it's only grown out about a week right now. But if you did 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in between, you would have your Jimmy Gel layer like probably all the way down to here, and then you'd be able to just soak off the color that's on top, backfill your Jimmy Gel, and move on with your life, which is really, really nice. And all these the little teeny pink remnant right there, that got stuck while I was removing it and all of that, that is going to be that is going to come off when you do your cuticle work. So as you're prepping your nail for reapplication, then you're going to end up taking care of that. So don't worry about getting all of those bits with your nail file, because you might end up, you know, scratching your cuticle area a little bit too much. Okay, so that is how you're going to use QDBase to remove your soak off gel polish while maintaining your overlays underneath. And Jimmy Gel is not the only product that you can use underneath. You can literally use any type of hard gel, any soak off gel that's very resilient to acetone. So they may be soak off, but they may take like 20 to 30 minutes to actually completely soak off, like a Jimmy Gel product. Or you could even do this on acrylic nails. Acrylic nails, I would recommend, if you're going to do it over acrylic, I would recommend you use a hard gel top coat to create like a barrier on your acrylic, because some acrylic soaks off really easy, or it starts to get really goopy. Acrylic does take a long time to soak off completely, but you're going to start to get like the upper layers are going to be really kind of sticky and goopy if you're using this process for acrylic nails. And I am not an acrylic nail expert, but I do know about, you know, you can definitely use hard gels, anything like that as your overlay products. So I hope this is helpful to show you how you can use QDBase to create that barrier on your nail and be able to soak off the gel polish easily on top of that. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.